In this tutorial, we're going to be showing you how to recreate one of these trinket dishes using one of the Clay Play Airdry kits. In addition to your Clay Play kit, you will need a few other items, one being a piece of fabric or mat, something to work your clay on so it doesn't stick to your table, a rolling pin or a glass bottle to roll out your clay, a template. In this tutorial I'll be using a plate, and then about 4 pencils, and lastly a small bowl of water. So to start, we're just going to remove all the items off our workbench and just leave our clay and our rolling pin. Let's start by just pushing out the clay. As we go, we're just going to rotate the clay. So just pushing away as we go, rotating every time. Now we're just getting to the point where our clay is starting to get thinner. So we're going to bring those pencils in and use them as our guides, just placing around our piece of clay. Rolling over top, pushing away from you, rotating, readjusting, and going again. From here we are going to take our kidney tool and we're going to smooth out our body of clay. Then take your template, place it on your clay and cut round using your needle tool. Now that we've got our template for our trinket dish, we need to create a wall. To do that, we're going to be using our leftover pieces of clay and we're going to be rolling them into a coil. So to do that, you'll just need to make some space on your workbench, and we're going to be rolling that piece of clay into a nice sausage. As you can see, I'm just rolling it away from myself and spreading out my fingers so I'm evenly applying pressure to that coil. Taking that coil and just measuring it around your dish to ensure that it is long enough. So we need to score up our edges where both clay bodies are going to meet. So taking my needle tool, I'm going to score it by roughing up the edges of my dish where the clay is going to meet, and then again on my coil. Now we've got our edges roughened up, we are going to be applying some water to both sides. This essentially is the glue, and by applying this water it makes a slip-like consistency on both of the edges of our clay, and then when we go to press those two sides together it helps grip and stick that clay down. Now here we just need to do the same process of roughing it up and applying water to help stick those two edges together. Taking your wooden tool, I like to use this tool because it's got that similar curvature as your finger and it's nice and firm. So all we're going to be doing is pushing down a little bit of your clay at a time and moving around your dish. Each time just picking up a little bit of clay and blending it over that seam. You can of course take your finger as well and alternate between smoothing things over with your finger and using that wooden tool to get a nice even wall. Repeating the same on the inside of our wall, we're going to be pushing down the clay onto that base. Just when you're moving around, you do want to be supporting the outside wall with your other hand. Then just take the time to even out your wall, making sure it's all the same thickness, and then just smoothing out any imperfections. Once you're happy with your dish, you then want to take a piece of leftover clay and roll that into a coil. Now that we have got our coil, we're just going to chop it into more manageable pieces and just have a play around getting the proportions and the sizings right. As you can see, I'm just going through and creating each of those features and placing them on the dish before we go ahead and score and slip them down. Once you've found the positioning, go through again with your needle tool, rough up both edges, and then stick them back down with some water. Now that our features are all in place, we're just going to leave it to dry for about 4 hours. Now that our piece has had a chance to dry, it has hardened to a point where we can pick it up and move it around without disforming the shape. This is called leather hard. And at this stage, we can go through with any one of our trimming tools just to tidy up the edges and take out any thickness that may have built up on the sides of your piece. Then to finish, just taking a wet sponge and rubbing all over your piece just to blend out any of those nail marks or imperfections. Once you're happy with the finished product, you just want to leave to dry for 2 to 3 days. Here we have our dish ready to decorate, but before we start, we just need to check that it has dried enough. We're going to check this by just taking a dab of water onto the piece, and if it dries away quickly, then it is completely dry and ready to decorate. So today I'm going to actually leave it white. I love this raw clay look. So all I'm going to be doing is applying my acrylic sealant over the top. Once that's dry, go ahead and do the bottom of your dish too. Once your sealant's dry, your dish is ready to use. If you've enjoyed this tutorial and would like to learn more, follow us on Instagram at Clay Play Kits or on Facebook at Clay Play.